Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger bringing you Keto Without the Crazy. I have a very important topic today. I would like to talk to young women about nutrition. So if you are a young woman watching my channel, or if you have a young woman in your life who is maybe dealing with some stuff, please consider sending her a link to this video. I want to say I'd like to have a conversation with young women about nutrition, but this is kind of a one-sided conversation. I have lots of notes. Now, before I get into it, let me be clear. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I am a CNS, which stands for Certified Nutrition Specialist. In order to get the CNS designation, you have to have a master's degree or higher in a nutrition field. I have a master's in human nutrition. You have to pass the board exam, which I did, and you have to have, I forget, however many supervised hours. Did all that several years back. I also have spoken at several nutrition and health conferences in the U.S. and internationally, some of which my talks were approved for CMEs, those continuing medical education credits. I am the author of 3 books, including having co-authored the book End Your Carb Confusion with Dr. Eric Westman from Duke University, who is a past president of the Obesity Medicine Association and is the co-author of the textbook used to train other doctors who are about to be certified, board certified in obesity medicine. So, I am not a medical professional, but I'd like to think I know a little bit about food and nutrition and the human body. And I might know something about being female. So, just looking at my notes here. I guess I just want to, the overarching message here is that so very many of the things you may be experiencing, physical health-wise, mental and emotional, psychological health-wise, could be a direct result of issues in your diet. You may be getting too much of certain types of things. You may not be getting enough of other types of things. And if you are a young woman who has already been following me for some time, you're probably already doing a low carb or keto diet or even a paleo diet, some variation of that type of nutritional strategy. Some of you, if somebody has gifted you this link, if somebody sent this to you and recommended that you watch it, some of this might be very, very different from what you're accustomed to hearing about a healthy diet or nutritious food and all that stuff. And let's see. I'm going to link in the notes for this video to a couple of videos and or blog posts that I've done on some of the topics that are going to come up. One of the things we're going to talk a bit about is protein. So I'm going to link to a video that I did, 2 videos actually. One, the title said, Keto Women Get More Protein. And the other one is something about what is a high protein diet and why you should stop being afraid of them. I recommend watching both of those. Even if you are not following a ketogenic diet or low carb diet right now, I think the information on protein in general will be very helpful for you. So that is first. I think women in general, so we'll start there. Women in general, not just young women, women of all ages, skimp like crazy on protein. Increasing your protein intake can be a game changer, ladies. Game changer for you. If you struggle, if your nails are weak and brittle and you can never get nice, long, strong nails, I cannot tell you what increasing your protein intake will do for your nail health, your hair. If you buy fancy, expensive products, I know there's a lot of like nail growth, special nail polishes that are designed to fortify and strengthen. or you could eat more protein. And let's see. Did you know the protein? I'll link to a blog post also that I wrote about protein, and everybody's afraid of eating a lot of protein on a lower carb or ketogenic diet. I think that's very misguided. I think if anything, most women could benefit from more protein, whether on a keto diet or not. And there's reasons why in that article. When you hear protein, you probably automatically think of muscles, biceps and glutes and whatever. You know what else protein is used for? You know what else is made out of protein? Like I said, your nails, your hair, your skin, your bones, tendons, ligaments. The antibodies from your immune system are proteins. Some of the neurotransmitters, certain hormones, thyroid hormone is built upon the amino acid tyrosine. Now that's just one tiny amino acid, but dopamine, serotonin, these are built out of amino acids which come from protein. So, and I think there's so much to say. I should have put this in a better order. I think a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the things you may be living with are the result of various nutritional and dietary imbalances. One of the most powerful, most beneficially impactful things you could do is eat foods and drink beverages that keep your blood sugar within a steady kind of range all throughout the day. We don't want these wild ups and downs in blood sugar, be riding that roller coaster all day, because if you deal with mood swings or anxiety, or if you get really irritable, if you have hypoglycemia, if you can't go more than 2 hours or so between a meal without reaching for a granola bar or some type of, who knows what you all are eating these days. I'm super old, so I don't know what young women eat anymore. But like, if you get panicky, if you get that, we call it hangry, the combination of hungry and angry. If you get like that kind of a short while after eating and you have to reach for something, eating foods and drinking beverages that prevent that from happening is a great way to have much steadier moods throughout the day, a more sort of balanced outlook, sharper thinking. If you have brain fog, nobody out there has that these days. If you feel like there's just cobwebs up in your brain, getting off that blood sugar roller coaster can be really helpful for sharper thinking. If you need to study, if you are taking tests, if you're in school, other things, there are no, let me stay there for a minute, because I know that these mood things and these emotional and psychological things are so prevalent, and they can be debilitating. They can be downright debilitating. And I am absolutely not anti-medication. If there are medications that are helping you even out those wild feelings and helping you navigate life on a daily basis, great. But there are certainly numerous reports, including in the published medical research, of people doing low carb or ketogenic diets and having dramatic transformations in mental and emotional health, dramatic for the better. All, like I said, anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, so many of these things get better. Not always. It's not 100% guarantee, but it's worth trying if you are living with some of that stuff. I personally believe many of those things are unrecognized and undiagnosed. Hypoglycemia or insulin resistance. I think a lot of that is the blood sugar crash. I think road rage is probably over 85% unrecognized hypoglycemia. Like I said, that real irritable, sudden urge to murder somebody if you don't eat in 4 seconds. We all know how that feels. That tends to go away when you're off that roller coaster, when your blood sugar is just nice and even throughout the day, just little gentle rises and falls. And other things that low carb diets are good for, I think, so let's get back to the protein for a minute. Sorry, I have notes, I just didn't put them in a like numerical order. Those of you who feel hungry all day, I know you're out there because I've been through it myself. I have lived most of the experiences I'm going to mention in this video. If you're hungry all day, if you never feel quite satisfied, if you have lots of sugar cravings all day, and you kind of have to like white knuckle all day, that you can't, you're trying to lose weight, so you don't want to eat X and Y thing, but eating more protein can, for most people, there's never any 100% guarantee. For most people, that has a profound impact on helping you fill up at a meal and staying satiated for a longer period of time, meaning you fill up and you can go comfortably several hours before your next meal. You don't have that ravenous, blood sugar crashing kind of thing. It tends to even out those cravings. And we are I'm begging you to watch the video that I've linked to below on the Keto Women Eat More Protein. Even if you're not on a keto diet, you will still learn a ton. Wipe from your brain anything you've ever heard about a woman's protein portion, that it should be about the size of the palm of your hand or a deck of cards, or like 3 to 4 ounces. If that's all you want, if that's all you're hungry for, that's fine. Do not be afraid to have more. It's not unladylike, it's not unfeminine. There's nothing more ladylike and feminine than taking care of your needs and making sure that you are healthy. And eating a reasonable amount of protein for a human female is an essential part of that, in my opinion. So don't, and I think the reason sometimes we get hungrier or we crave sugar a little while after eating, or we just feel like we're just constantly hungry, is because we're not eating enough protein. You could probably double your protein intake. I mean, I can only guess how much you're eating now. You could probably double it and nothing bad would happen and a whole lot of good might happen. I am not making that blanket recommendation for anyone. I'm just saying you might be amazed at what happens if you eat substantially more protein than you are now. Those cravings might start to go away or kind of lessen. Their voice in your head will be much quieter. You will be able to go several hours. You won't be thinking, I better have a couple of, chocolate covered rice cakes in my bag in case I get hungry. I better have that peanut butter granola bar in case I get hungry. You're not going to get as hungry. And if you do, you will be able to just ride it out comfortably for like, oh, I'm hungry, but I could probably wait 30 minutes. I could wait an hour. You're not going to have that immediate urgent need to eat anything in sight. The hormonal imbalances that happen when you eat more carbohydrate than your body personally, individually can tolerate well, all kinds of hormonal imbalances start to happen because the hormone insulin is going to be high a lot of the time. When hormones don't exist in a vacuum, you cannot touch one of them without affecting numerous other ones. If you have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, it is almost a guarantee that you have chronically high insulin. That is basically the cause of PCOS. And I know a lot of women with PCOS are heavier. Not all. You could very well have PCOS even if you are in a smaller body. I will link to a blog post that I wrote with everything you could possibly want to know about PCOS and the rationale, the whys and wherefores of why a low or lower carb or straight up ketogenic diet could be very helpful for you. And that blog post includes links to all of the relevant research. I'm not just like making stuff up, spouting nonsense out of my mouth. All of the stuff that I'm gonna link to has links to further research if you care to look at it. So PCOS and what comes along with PCOS for those of you that have it? Lots of acne, oily skin, irregular periods. If you're menstruating at all, you might not be ovulating. You might have some, irregularity there. I said oily skin and acne. Body hair, especially facial hair. So women will start to develop more of an android, more of like a male type of presentation. And PMS. PMS can be worsened when you're on the blood sugar roller coaster, right? Those chronically high blood sugar, chronically high insulin is very inflammatory to the body. So when you have all this sort of underlying inflammation, of course you're going to be in more pain. Of course your cramps are going to be worse. So I'm not saying keto, again, not 100% slam dunk miracle cure for you never having PMS again. You will, but probably going to be a lot more mild. A lot more mild. I mentioned the acne and oily skin with the PCOS. What if you don't have PCOS and you have a lot of skin problems? Maybe you have acne. Maybe you have eczema, psoriasis. There's something called hidradenitis suppurativa, lichen planus, maybe it's lichen planus, and skin tags. If you happen to have skin tags, most young people tend not to. It tends to be an older people thing, but you might have some. And I'm pointing here because for people that have multiple skin tags, they tend to be fairly common around the neck. They can happen anywhere on the body, but we see them more on the neck. A lot of this also comes from chronically high blood sugar and insulin. And so some of that can come from the natural hormonal changes that happen in puberty and like your early teens. So it's, again, keto, like keto doesn't cure puberty, right? Like that still has to happen. You're still going to have that change. But in hunter-gatherer type societies and like isolated tribal societies, they don't have acne. They don't get acne. They still have puberty. They still go from little girls and little boys to, grown women and men, and they don't have the same kinds of issues that we tend to have during those years. They eat and live very differently. Now, they're not all on low carb diets, but they eat wholesome, food in such a way that their blood sugar and insulin are normal. So I guess I can take a step back here and say, this might be, if somebody sent you this link, this might be the first time you're hearing some of this. If you hear blood sugar and you hear insulin, you're probably thinking diabetes. Oh, I'm not diabetic. You can absolutely have a lot of these problems even if you are not diabetic or pre-diabetic. And something to know is that insulin, you are probably accustomed to thinking of insulin as a blood sugar hormone. Because if you know someone with type 2 diabetes, perhaps they use insulin injections to help lower the blood sugar, or you just know one of the things insulin does is lowers your blood sugar. The key part of what I just said is one of the things insulin does is lower your blood sugar. Insulin does like 47 other things totally unrelated to blood sugar. Think about estrogen, think about testosterone, right? Insulin is a hormone just like estrogen and testosterone or progesterone. They don't just have one job. Doesn't estrogen do a lot of things in your body? Doesn't testosterone do a ton of different things? Yeah, so does insulin. So regardless of your blood sugar, your blood glucose level, if you have chronically high insulin, and you might well have it and not know, it's very, very common to have this and not even know it. If you have that, that could be the culprit behind a lot of the things you're dealing with, including very stubborn weight. I personally learned about low carb and ketogenic diets a long time ago because I fought my weight. I used to be a lot heavier than I am now. And I was heavier despite doing what I thought were all the right things, right? I should have started this video with this because I don't want to be sounding like I'm talking at you. I am one of you. I have been through this personally myself. I know how this feels. So I used to be heavier than I am now, and I was exercising a lot. I was never afraid of a workout. I was a runner in a former life, and I would eat my whole grain cereal with my skim milk and my whole wheat toast with my light margarine or my I can't believe it's not butter light, fat-free yogurt, all the things. And it never got me anywhere. No matter how hard I tried, I could not lose weight. And I spent years beating myself up, feeling like a failure, feeling ashamed, not really living life, keeping myself boxed in, not going out, not socializing, because I was so unhappy. Now, and that could be 6 other whole videos all by itself. I did that to myself, right? I was heavier and I was not happy in my own skin, so I kept myself from the world. There were girls triple my size who were out loving life, had tons of friends, had social lives. So I'm like, that was a thing I did to myself. But my point is, my main point is I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I was doing all the right things that should have worked to help me lose body fat. And it didn't work until I found a low carb diet. But eating this way did cause me to have to fundamentally alter what I thought of as a healthy diet or nutritious foods or healthy foods. I had to not be afraid of red meat. I had to not be afraid of butter and egg yolks, whole eggs, that not just the white, but I had to not be afraid to eat bacon if I wanted to. I had to not be afraid of cheese or be afraid of fatty foods in general, macadamia nuts. Not that you don't have to eat these foods, but you don't have to be afraid of them. If you start your day, first thing in the morning when you wake up, if you don't have diabetes, your blood sugar's at a nice low normal level, your insulin's at a nice low normal level. The last thing you want to do first thing in the morning is send those things skyrocketing to the moon. The last thing you want to do is be eating a bowl of sugary cereal with fat-free milk and having a glass of orange juice or having toast with jelly on it. And if whatever you're eating right now is working for you, if you love the way you feel, you like the way you look, you're happy, you don't have any serious health problems, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're living with some stuff and you don't feel so great, then rethink some of this stuff. Start eating with that blood sugar in mind. Maybe all of those healthy whole grains and all of that fat-free dairy is not so great. Maybe you need a much more substantial piece of protein with a little bit of fat so that your blood sugar and insulin stay at that nice low normal level, right after the meal and several hours later. And so you might have to be no longer afraid of eating eggs, and not one egg with your toast and cereal. How about 3 eggs and no toast and cereal? How about 2 or 3 eggs and 2 strips of bacon? 2 or 3 eggs and a piece of sausage. Okay, what else? Consulting the notes here. Skin. So I talked about all the skin stuff. That, in many, many cases, is whacked out blood sugar and insulin, all these skin issues. What about really dry skin? Are you someone that has 29 different flavors and scents of lotion and you're constantly slathering? You've got 3 of them in your backpack, there's 1 in your gym bag, there's 2 in your desk, and you're never without lotion. Did you ever ask yourself, why is my skin always so dry? Why do I need lotion all the time? Fat is really good for the skin. fat, saturated fat especially, but I don't necessarily have specific scientific evidence to back that up. I just get the feeling, but that's fat is really good for the skin. It gives it that kind of luster, that sort of like not greasy oiliness, but that just sort of like nice kind of appearance. I don't know the right word for it. Hair can be lustrous. Skin isn't really lustrous, right? But just a nice sort of a glow. That's a glow. A nice healthy glow to it. And you don't have to constantly be slathering stuff on it. You know, sometimes your skin is going to be dry. You might, if you live, you know, in a desert climate, or if you live in the mountains and it's winter time, yeah, your skin will be dry here and there. But to the point that it's like painful or rough and scaly, or like you feel like you have to just slather lotion on all day, all the time. Think more about what you put in to your body rather than what you're putting on the body. I think what you put in and what you don't put in has a much more profound impact than what you put on the skin. Okay, so what else do we have here, ladies? I just think the mood stuff is so big. And hungry, I remember forcing myself to feel hungry all day because I was so desperate to lose weight. So desperate. And if somebody had told me, Amy, has anyone ever talked to you about a low carb diet? Like, do you know you don't actually have to starve yourself, and you don't have to think about points or macros or calories? I'm going to give you this list of foods that if you got like 90% of your food from this list and only 10% once in a while you ate one of these other things, probably be really helpful for you. I might have smacked them in the face. I might have slapped them upside the head. I might have told them to go take a hike. Or maybe I would have paid attention. Because maybe if somebody had said it to me like, you know, you're Amy, I see you working so hard. You're like going for a run after school like 5 days a week. I see you eating your whole grains and your light, you know, margarine and your all this, like, how's that working for you? You're working so hard. It doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere. Would it be okay with you if I give you some information about a different way of going about it? Like, you don't have to do it. You don't even, but could I at least give you, can I send you some links? Can I give you a book to read? Like, because it breaks my heart to see you working so hard and not getting anywhere. I would love to see you actually start to get the results you want to get. So maybe you're in that position. Now let's talk a little more about specific nutrients, because I think there are a lot of good things that will happen by virtue of you increasing your protein intake, specifically from animal foods. I'm not talking about beans. I'm not talking about hemp protein powder or rice protein powder or soy protein powder. I'm talking about animal protein foods. Could be any kind of animal protein food. It could be beef, pork, lamb, bison, poultry. So that's what? Chicken, turkey, duck, goose, other fowl, Cornish hen, I don't know. What else haven't I said? Eggs. I think I said fish and seafood, right? Shellfish. Game meat, rabbit, venison, elk, what have you. Who knows what people eat these days? And here's why. It's a nice story that we should eat lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. That's a nice story. But there are nutrients in animal foods that you either do not get at all in plant foods, or the human body absorbs and assimilates them better from animal foods. Not that they're not in plant foods. The body just has an easier time getting these certain types of nutrients from animal-sourced foods. And there's nothing wrong with eating vegetables and fruits. But if you are living with chronically high blood sugar and or insulin, then cutting back on those carbohydrates is probably going to be helpful. There is nothing that you can get from high carbohydrate foods that you cannot also get from low carbohydrate foods. You do not have to drink orange juice to get vitamin C. Did you know that broccoli has vitamin C? Bell peppers have vitamin C. Spinach has vitamin C. Potassium. Vegetables are loaded with potassium. You don't have to eat bananas to get potassium. There is no vitamin or mineral, none, that is only present in a high carbohydrate food. And I hate the phrase fruits and vegetables, because it kind of like makes them sound equal fruits and vegetables. Eat more fruits and vegetables. No. Why do we say fruits and vegetables as if these are metabolically equivalent? They're not. Eating spinach, eating broccoli, eating zucchini, eggplant, cauliflower, mushrooms, asparagus, radishes, that has a very different impact, metabolically speaking, compared to eating a bowl of grapes and mangoes and bananas and apples and pears. They're just different. I'm not saying that fruit is bad for you. I am saying there's nothing in fruit that you can't get, pardon me, from foods that are lower in carbohydrate, and that might be more suitable if you are trying to keep your blood sugar and insulin a little bit lower than they had been. So you will never hear me say fruit is poison, sugar is poison, carbs are poison. I like to think I'm not a keto zealot. I think most of my fans would back me up on that. I'm a keto nutritionist, but I've had clients whom I told to eat more carbohydrate based on their individual situation. Everything is all about context. I'm not saying you need to do a ketogenic or low carb diet. I'm giving you information that you might not have heard before, that is either useless to you or could be life-changing for you, or at least a little bit helpful. So these nutrients, yeah, it's and you know, oh, eat a rainbow, and it's like, okay, again, that's a good story, but it's not necessary. Like it's pretty, right, to eat. If you're eating lots of vegetables and fruits, we've got red, we've got blue, green, yellow, orange, white. We've got like the rainbow. Okay, so what? So what? Now, I know that different phytochemicals give those vegetables and fruits their color, you know, the anthocyanins, the glucosinolates, this and that. I know that, the chlorophyll. It doesn't mean that we must ingest those all the time. Anyway, my point is, when you go on a if you were to go on a low carb or keto diet, your perspective does have to change a little bit about what healthy foods are. And you have to stop being afraid, like I said, of red meat, of butter, of egg yolks, of fatty pork. If you keep kosher or you observe the laws of halal, don't eat pork. Eat something else. You know, don't eat the shellfish. Follow your religious or cultural dictates as well. There's no religion out there. There's no culture that you cannot adapt a low carb diet to fit into appropriately. So there's just these nutrients that I think, apart from the huge role that blood sugar roller coaster plays in some of the things you might be living with, apart from that, I do think there are a lot of unrecognized, either over nutrient deficiencies, over deficiency, or what we would call a subclinical insufficiency. Like, you're not deficient, like you're not dying from scurvy, you don't have beriberi or pellagra, like these things that you learned about in health class, maybe, if they still teach this, I don't know, like these deficiency diseases from the 1800s that you never hear about anymore, or the early 1900s. You're not dying from a vitamin deficiency, but you're not getting enough to feel your best. You are not getting enough to feel your physical, emotional, and mental and cognitive best. You're kind of muddling through from day to day. It's like there's just like this spider web in front, like what? You're making do. You are surviving. You are not thriving. You are existing. You're not living. And I think that there are some very specific nutrient insufficiencies that are probably playing a big role in this, including B12, which you only get from animal foods, period. There are supposedly B12 analogs. There are B12-like molecules in certain plant foods. They are not B12. They are B12-like molecules. B12 is absolutely essential, and I think the deficiency is under-recognized. Iron. Girls, ladies, so many of you have like subclinical anemia and don't know it. Fatigue, depression, so many other things come with iron deficiency. Iron deficiency can also mess with your nails if you're having trouble growing long, strong nails. Hair too, I think, but iron, energy, like I said, the fatigue. If you're get your iron checked. And you want to be eating red meat, or you want to be eating shellfish, you want to be eating good sources of iron. Yes, plant foods have iron. Nobody be attacking me. Yes, plant foods have iron. The type of iron in animal foods is better absorbed and assimilated by your body. It's called heme iron, H-E-M-E, or if you speak the Queen's English, I think it's H-A-E-M-E. If you're in like Great Britain or some other place where they speak the Queen's English, heme iron. Vitamin A. Vitamin A is not the same thing as beta carotene. There's not really any vitamin A in carrots or sweet potatoes or other yellow and orange squashes. Or squashes and tubers. There's beta carotene, and there's other carotenoid compounds that can be converted to vitamin A. People differ in the efficiency with which their body makes that conversion. So just because you're getting a lot of plant foods that have beta carotene or these other carotenoid compounds doesn't mean your body's going to get enough of the actual vitamin A. Beta carotene is a precursor to vitamin A. Not everybody's body gets enough vitamin A from the plant foods alone. And so vitamin A is found in several different kinds of animal foods. The long chain fats, the omega-3s, and some of the other fats that our bodies need for so many different things come from, you probably know them as like the EPA and DHA in fish oil, but where do they get fish oil from? From fish, from seafood, from shellfish, from fatty fish, especially because it's in the fat. But there's also EPA and DHA in land animals. It's not something that's exclusive to ocean life or marine life. You do get EPA and DHA from beef, pork, chicken, it's less. And the animal's feed, the animal's diet, like what the animal actually eats, has an influence on the amount of that fat in their meat, in their tissue. So it varies, but there still is some. And yes, there are omega-3s in plant foods. You are probably familiar with flaxseed or walnuts or chia seeds or hemp seeds. These do have some of the omega-3s, but those omega-3s are precursors to the ones in the animal foods. The ones in, and it's not binary. Everybody has a little bit of everything, but the predominant one in the plant foods is ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. That is something that can be converted into the EPA and DHA that we get from fish and from certain land animals. So even if you're getting lots and lots of omega-3 from the plants, there's no guarantee that your body will be converting enough of that into the end product type of omega-3s that we need most. So, and there's certain other kinds of fats, and I get just the protein. I think I cannot tell you what a big deal protein is for women. Watch the video that's linked to. So I just think, those are the individual things I wanted to say. It's coming up on 40 minutes. Let's have an overarching view here, ladies, shall we? Not everything is caused by diet. Absolutely not. but a lot of things are. And you might be doing like I did many years ago. You might be following what you think is a healthy diet. Maybe you hardly eat any animal foods at all. Maybe you're on a vegan diet or a semi-vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, or maybe you're an omnivore. Maybe you eat everything, but you don't eat red meat. Maybe you're a pescatarian, or maybe you only eat fish and chicken, like poultry, turkey, duck, whatever. Maybe you don't eat red meat. Maybe you are eating a lot of grain products, whole grains, high fiber, because that's what they tell you to do, right? Maybe you're not eating a lot of fat. And maybe you are suffering some very uncomfortable things because of that. To your physical health, to your mental and emotional health, to your cognitive function. This is the real deal. These things happen. And if it's caused nutritionally, the good news is it can probably be remedied nutritionally. It's just going to take a very different kind of nutrition than you are accustomed to living with in your daily life. And again, it might take a real mindset shift to start incorporating some of the very foods that you've heard for most of your life are bad for you. And all I can do is tell you that this is what I did. This is the way I eat. And if I thought it was harmful, I wouldn't be eating this way myself. And I wouldn't be telling other people to eat this way. You know, I wouldn't have built my career out of helping to educate other people in how to implement a lower carbohydrate or ketogenic or paleo style diet. If I thought it was going to harm them, what, nobody likes to get sued. Like, why would I be doing that? So, what else can I tell you, ladies? There's a lot of this can be fixed relatively simply. Not all of it. I said earlier, I'm not anti-medication at all. Thank goodness for, let's use modern medical technology and pharmaceutical technology where it benefits us, because it sometimes does. Sometimes it doesn't. And I'm gonna blow through a quick list. Well, no, not all of these will be relevant for you, but I will also link to a blog post. Do take the time when you have a chance to look at the videos and blog posts I'm going to link to in the notes here. I'm going to link to an article I wrote a while back that is 14 ways to tell that keto is working for you besides weight loss. So if you are watching this video right now and you are this big and you don't have a single ounce on you to spare, great. You might do keto for any, or low carb, or some other variation of a lower carbohydrate approach. You might choose to do that for lots and lots of reasons totally unrelated to weight loss. And let's say you are heavier. Maybe you don't care. Great. I wish I had that confidence when I was that age. I wish I'd had that self-confidence. I didn't. So whether or not you do want to lose weight, there's 14 other things. One of them is migraines. None of you gals ever probably get headaches or migraines. Nobody, right? Keto can be very good for migraines. You do have to tweak it a little bit beyond just the sort of garden variety average type of low carb keto diet. Migraineurs have to be a little more specific about things, but joint pain, if you happen to have that, I said all the skin things, the brain fog, sugar cravings, the hunger, that crash of you want to murder somebody if you don't eat in 2 seconds, kind of hypoglycemia. Any of you that have heartburn. Young women aren't immune to heartburn. You're probably embarrassed to talk about it with your friends, but if you have heartburn, acid reflux, keto makes that go away. Sorry, I'm just looking at the list. If you do have type 2 diabetes or PCOS or metabolic syndrome, if you've been told you have any of that, keto is excellent for those. There is a lot of research being done right now, very, very promising research on keto for mental health. for psychiatric issues, for the anxiety, the depression, the bipolar. Really, really promising stuff. There's a book coming out soon called Brain Energy, I think that's the title, by Dr. Christopher Palmer. He's a psychiatrist out of Harvard who uses ketogenic diets with his psychiatry patients. I'm not making this up. I think it's called Brain Energy by Dr. Christopher Palmer. I'm the author of 3 books. If you're brand new to this and you want to know a bit more about how this all works, this is the book I mentioned, End Your Carb Confusion. I co-authored this with Dr. Eric Westman. He's the one that wrote the textbook to board certified doctors in obesity medicine and all that. He's at Duke University. So what else? Yeah, so I would recommend End Your Carb Confusion. Super easy to read, layperson friendly. You don't need a PhD to get through this book. If you are afraid of the very thought of eating a fatty steak, if you're like a young lady and, oh my God, I could never eat a fatty ribeye, I could never eat a New York strip, you don't have to. But if you kind of want to know why you absolutely do not need to be afraid to eat those foods, then I highly recommend the book. Let's see, is it within arm's reach? It's on my bookshelf. I'll just grab it 1 second. I definitely recommend The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Teicholz. Why Butter, Meat, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet. There's a heck of a subtitle for you. The Big Fat Surprise. It's big, but there's a ton of notes and references. Like, the actual book is only that. This is all the references and stuff. The book is that, and it's a very easy read. It'll blow your mind. You're going to read it, and you are going to tear into a plate of delicious bacon and eggs for breakfast, probably the next morning. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I hope that is helpful for some of you. Contact me if you want more information, or I do private individual consultations. That's it. Don't be afraid of these foods. You do not have to starve yourself. You don't have to go hungry all day. You don't have to be on the mood roller coaster. Forget the blood sugar roller coaster. You don't have to be on the mood theme park all day long. So many of the things that you may feel really troubled by could potentially be simply and easily remedied by changing your diet. And the best news is that dietary change does not require starvation, going hungry all day, counting calories, counting macros, using an app and a spreadsheet to track all your food. It doesn't require living on like alfalfa sprouts and rice cakes and fat-free cream cheese. You get to eat hearty, delicious, filling, satisfying, satiating foods. Satisfying meaning they fill you up and you're satisfied in your meal. Satiating means they keep you satisfied. They keep you satiated for a few hours before you start to feel hungry again. We cannot outsmart Mother Nature. She's always going to win. I think we feel much better when we work with her, when we work with our biology, when we work with our hormones, when we work with our metabolism and physiology and biochemistry, compared to when we are fighting it at every step. And when we are jacking up the process, eating things that we think we should eat because inaccurate, misleading, out-of-date nutritional advice has made us believe we should eat those foods. And they are actually the very things that are massively jacking us up and throwing wrenches in all the works. This book will tell you everything else that you need to know. All right. Thank you for watching. See you next time.